Guys, in this video, we got a little bit more nostalgia. So I just did a video on my first ever hobby grade RC car. It's a Tamiya Manta Ray. And if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to put a link to that video up there. But I did make a couple of references to some photographs and magazines that I didn't have to hand at the time. But now I have. So let's have a quick look at some of these old photos and some of these really old RC magazines. This one here, look, is from 1994. Another one here from 1993. And these are like my first ever RC mags that I had when I was a little kid. So we're going to have a quick flick through these magazines, and then we're going to have a look at some of these old school photos where you can see some of my first RC cars that I ever had when I was a kid, and even some of my first real cars. Do you have a job you hate? Imagine if you could make more money from the comfort of your own home. And I've now taught hundreds of people my secrets. So just check out the results here from some of my students. So if you're sick of that 9 till 5 and you want to make more money than a doctor from the comfort of your own home, then click on the link down below and I'll show you how. So I haven't looked at these for a few years. So this is kind of like going to bring back some memories and at the same time show you guys. So I remember looking at this ad. I used to go to bed and look at these pictures, and this was my dream RC car when I was a kid. An Inferno Nitro. And that was always the picture I used to look at, and I was like, oh man, one day I really wish I could have one. Then here's a picture of the Manta Ray. I used to dream over this picture quite a lot as well. I'm just going to literally flick through here quickly, and then if you guys are interested, you can just kind of pause the video. But this magazine here, this was more about sort of setup and different equipment. If you're a complete newbie at RC, it just kind of taught you what everything was. I remember back in the days when these sort of batteries were like the really good ones. All the different kinds of motor brushes. Oh, and look, here's an old advert for Model Sport. And yeah, I do remember that is roughly how much I paid for my Manta Ray, but I got mine from Models in Motion. Oh, and I remember looking at these engines, I was like, ah, man, I wish I had an Inferno and one of these. All right, next. Oh, man, I remember this. This was a car show Nitro monster truck, and this one here was a Traxxas Nitro Hawk. So guys, let me know, what was your first memories with RC cars? What was your first RC car? And have you got any old magazines that you sometimes look at and it kind of brings back old memories? Guys, if you remember any of these old cars, then let me know down in the comments. So back in the day, these magazines, they always kind of used to be in black and white. Bargain models. I remember when I first got my Manta Ray, this was the charger that I used. And this was the radio. Oh look, Schumacher buggy. Check it out, guys. These Trinity 1700s, these were like the bee's knees. I remember looking at this and thinking, oh man, that just looks so cool. I wish I really had one. Do any of you guys remember the Traxxas Nitro Hawk? Look at it. It had white suspension components. And I wonder if a lot of these parts are still the same as on the Rustlers, what they use today. Oh, what's this? Oh, Tamiya BMW. Or Tamiya. It's interesting to see in some of the prices of these batteries and stuff. Decent motors used to be around about £50, and you could get cheaper ones as well. Who remembers motor lathes? Does anybody remember any of these names? Oh, upgrades. Check it out, the car show Nitro Thrasher. I mean, guys, it does look epic, and I remember back in the day, I really did want one of these. I remember they used to have these different sort of style cylinder heads. Haha, Traxxas tough. Next. Oh look, there's good old Brian Kinwald. Rest in peace, buddy. Oh, I remember Stempy had one of these, a Mardave Marauder, and when I saw it go, my God, I used to think that was fast, and I really wanted one badly. Oh man, and I remember this Beetle as well. I think this is a Nitro, actually. If any of you guys remember any of this stuff, it's going to be quite interesting to kind of hear. Who recognises any of these names here? Or even if you took part in one of these races and you're in one of these magazines, I'd be interested to hear. I used to like how they've done these tech charts. I used to tell you the driver, what car they ran, the sponsors, and all their motors and equipment and all that stuff. I remember seeing his motor winds like 11 singles and 11 doubles, and I was like, whoa, I need something like that for my Manta Ray. Oh, I think I used to have one of these actually. And we always used to have the Model Sport double page spread. Oh look, and here's the price of the Nitro Hawk. And here's the Margrave Marauder, the Inferno. Oh look, the 10th Technology Predator. Man, there's some cool stuff in there. I wonder how many of this stuff still exists. And we got the Nitro Racing. Oh look, there we got Stuart Wilcox. I used to have Models in Motion. I used to be in there all the time. That's where I got my Manta Ray from. And he used to race the 1/8 Rallycross, and he always used to come out top in pretty much everything he did with them. Yeah, these things never really appealed to me that much. Oh, car show go-kart. Oh, and here it is, look, the Beetle, the Mantura 1/8 Beetle. Petrol, well, not petrol, nitro powered. And I think if I remember correctly, this came 2-wheel drive, and if you wanted to make it 4-wheel drive, you could buy a conversion kit. I wonder how many of these people here actually still do racing nowadays. Oh, here he is, the legend, Brian Kinwald. Look, and here's a whole load of shops that used to exist back in the day. I wonder how many of these shops are still around today. And here we got my Manta Ray instruction manual, and something that I always used to like looking at was all the upgrades. Look at it. I used to dream at night about having all these alloy shocks and these wheels and tyres, maybe the motor. Alright, so next, let's have a look at some of my old photos. So although this was my first ever hobby grade RC car, I did have a couple of Nicos beforehand. So here's my first ever RC car. This is a Nico buggy, and I made this kind of bug body to put on top of there, tried to make it look a little bit like Herbie. So the car that my dad used to have when I grew up was a Volkswagen Beetle. So I wonder if anybody knows if this car still exists, because if it does, I would love to buy it back one day. So this was my first RC car, and then my second RC car was a Nico Gambler, and I can't really find any more pictures of it, and I think I may still have it up in the attic somewhere at my mum and dad's. But anyway, that's what that was. And then after that was my first hobby grade, the Tamiya Manta Ray. So here's a few pictures of it back in the day when it was still relatively new. I mean, these photos are not really that much in focus, but you kind of get the rough idea. There's the old Techni Plus transmitter, look. And I was so poor that I used to keep this thing going with bits of Meccano. Look at that, I broke the front shock tower, and it's held together with Meccano. Look at the tyres, they are licked. And this is where I used to race it, in the Models in Motion Indoor Raceway in Stevenage. There's more on there, look, on the start line. Those were the days. That really is bringing back some memories. And here it is. I mean, these pictures here are old. I mean, these must be, I don't know, 15, 20 years old, maybe more. And here it is, look. So this is pretty much what it looks like today. There's a few more pictures here. So there you can see the actual wing that I used to run on this when I used to race it. I don't know where it's gone. I can't actually find it. So temporarily I've put this Thunder Tiger wing on here until I do find it. And this was a technology project at school. I made an aluminium chassis. This was actually a double deck chassis, but it kind of bent. It was about as strong as a stock armour chassis, so I put the plastic chassis back on. But I've always loved cars. So, you know, even as a kid, here's me when I was about 3 years old. And look at that, I was into cars. I had toy cars. I mean, I just loved cars. I loved real cars, toy cars, RC cars. This was my second RC car, a hobby grade RC car. This is actually a Nitro. I got this one from Models in Motion too. And this one is a Schumacher Nitro 10. And here's a couple of pictures of me and my granddad. This is like a model plane. I mean, it's not RC. You just kind of chuck it and hope for the best. Oh, and look, even as a kid, I used to love filming. So here's a picture of me and my first cat. Oh, look, we got a picture of Stempy. There's me and Stempy, look, sat on a bench. Here's another one of Stempy. Sorry, Stemp. And then I got into the age of real cars. Now, this here was my first ever real car. I think I was like 19 years old or something. This is a Ford Fiesta Mark II. I paid £300 for it. And it was, yeah, I bought a lemon. The clutch was slipping, the handbrake didn't work. She was rotten, look at it. And I put these pepper pot alloys on it, and I painted the Ford badge green, and I thought I looked really cool. This is where I tried to do a handbrake turn in a multi-storey car park, and I hit the ticket booth. And I remember there was a Range Rover in front of me, and all he was doing was just laughing so much at me. It was quite embarrassing, but funny looking back. And then here was where I tried to do a handbrake turn, and my handbrake was so crappy that I used to get Stempy to pull up on it with both hands. And we was going down a country lane. I was like, Stemp, handbrake. So he yanks the handbrake, I'll steer it, and then Stempy bottles it, puts the handbrake back down, and we hit a tree. This was a sad day. This is when it got scrapped. And then I got another Fiesta, and Stempy thought it would be a good idea to paint it. And this is what the masterpiece looked like afterwards. Cheers, Stemp. I used to have to drive about in that. I used to look like a right idiot. Well, still do. And then I got my first Mini. So this was a guy named Nathan, and I saw the Mini, and I always used to admire it when I saw it. I was like, oh man, I wish I had that car one day. And then when he put it up for sale, I was like, dude, I'm having it. And I put in so many hours at work trying to save up for it, and eventually I got enough money and I bought it. But I didn't kind of leave it like that for long. I kind of cut the front end off, put like a carbon fibre front end on. This is me, look, trying to learn how to weld. I must have been about 20, 21 years old there, and I've still actually got that socket set. Look, there, although it's got most of the bits missing now. So if you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, bell button, thumbs down if you suck. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that kind of brings any memories back for you, anything in the magazines or anything. Let us know what RC cars you had back in the day. Any memories you want to share, just put them down below, and I'll read all the comments. So I haven't really got time to respond to all of them. I get too many to respond to all of them, but I do try and read most of them, and I do respond to some of them. I sit there for like half an hour a day after I've uploaded, and then I sit there for half an hour, go through some messages, and answer as many as I can.